Hello, I am Jordan, and I'm going to talk briefly tonight, I think, about a book in honor of Maybe Midrash, which is a booktube event that means a lot to me. It was started by Jason over at Old Blues Chapter and Verse, I believe, and Jason is a wonderful man and a friend of mine. And Maybe Midrash a few years ago had a pretty profound impact on me. It was one of a few things that kind of set in motion a course of events that eventually led to my conversion to Eastern Orthodox Christianity. So, BookTube has played an enormous role in my religious life, it turns out. And so I have a soft spot for maybe Midrash. And I wanted to make a video in honor of that. And I wanted to make a video about a book that has meant an enormous amount to me as a religious person over the last few years. And I have struggled to do so. I've tried filming this several times this evening. It's a video I've been thinking about making all month, and I'm decided to just try and keep it short and sweet here. If you are not religious, this might not be the video for you, and that's totally fine. I don't really want to talk about religion a whole lot on this channel because this is a channel about books. But it's a channel about books that I love, and I love this book, so I'm going to bring it up. And that is Unspoken Sermons by George MacDonald. MacDonald is probably best known for his fiction, particularly his fantasy novels and fairy stories, fairy tales. I haven't read those. I've read one of his novels, Lilith, and to be honest, I'm not crazy about it. But this book has meant an enormous amount to me. I have found it very grounding in a way that I don't know, in a way that most books aren't for me. I feel like it's enormously rich, enormously dense, but really what it comes down to is kind of two things, I think, and that is MacDonald's sense of um, love, which as a Christian I take very seriously, and his sense of practicality on top of that. Um, in other words, active love, which is something that Dostoevsky, who is another writer that has had a pretty profound impact on my religious life. Something that Dostoevsky writes about as well is just this idea of active love. You can think of love as this kind of nice ideal, or you can think of it in terms of how do I embody this in my life right now, in this moment. And as I have gone through some significant challenges over the last few months, that has been something that my faith has um, provided for me was is kind of that direction in which to orient myself. And this book has helped keep me mindful of that. And on top of that, I just think it's a really beautiful book, really beautifully written. It feels like the truth is in this book, and it's just meant a great deal to me. So I wanted to read one passage that has meant a lot to me. It's a passage that I return to a lot when I'm struggling or when I'm not, and it's just really important to me, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Now, McDonald, at least in this, has a very florid kind of way of writing. I think a lot of people find that off-putting. I have read people complain that these sermons are kind of I don't know, tortured in the way that they're written. The language is convoluted. I don't find that to be true. I find it to be very beautiful, but you can decide for yourself. So the passage goes like this. Troubled soul, thou art not bound to feel, but thou art bound to arise. God loves thee whether thou feelest or not. Thou canst not love when thou wilt, but thou art bound to fight the hatred in thee to the last. Try not to feel good when thou art not good, but cry to him who is good. He changes not because thou changest. Nay, he has an especial tenderness of love towards thee, for that thou art in the dark and hast no light. And his heart is glad when thou dost arise and say, I will go to my Father. For he sees thee through all the gloom through which thou canst not see him. Will thou his will? Say to him, My God, I am very dull and low and hard, but thou art wise and high and tender, and thou art my God. I am thy child. Forsake me not. Then fold the arms of thy faith, and wait in quietness until light goes up in thy darkness. Fold the arms of thy faith, I say, but not of thy action. Bethink thee of something that thou oughtest to do, and go and do it, if it be but the sweeping of a room, or the preparing of a meal, or a visit to a friend. Heed not thy feelings. Do thy work. So I think I'll leave it at that. I will leave a link to the full sermon that comes from down below if you're interested. I definitely recommend it. If you are religious, if you're a Christian, I recommend the whole book. Um, and yeah, I'll leave it at that. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you are reading anything from maybe Midrash, and I will talk to you soon.